Hi. I miss you guys. I love you. Wanted to read a book so that you would have it, so that when I am not around, you guys can come back and listen to me read it, and we can read it together. So we're going to do this one. This one is Rumpelstiltskin by Seymour Leichman. We got this one at a garage sale. Rumpelstiltskin. Once upon a time, there was a poor miller who was always bragging about his pretty daughter. He talked about her beauty, and he talked about how smart she was. And finally, he even boasted that she could spin straw into gold. Such an outrageous rumors as that soon traveled to the kingdom and the castle of a king who loved gold more than anything. So he rode out to meet the wonderful girl himself. There's the king. There's the little girl. The miller proudly introduced his daughter, but much to his surprise and dismay, the king decided to take her back to the castle with him. "I'll put her to the test," he said, "and find out if the tale is true." The king sent for a load of straw, and he sent for a spinning wheel. Then he took the miller's daughter to a room deep down in the dungeon. "Spin all the straw into gold by morning," said the king, "or your father will lose his head." Oh my goodness. The miller's daughter thought she must be dreaming. She didn't know how to spin straw into gold, and for the very life of her she didn't know why her father had told such a foolish story. But when she thought about how he would surely lose his head in the morning, she began to weep and wail. All of a sudden, a strange little gnome stuck his head in at the window. "What will you give me if I spin all that straw into gold for you?" he asked. The miller's daughter dried her eyes. "I will give you my necklace," she said. "I'll take it," said the little gnome, and he sat down at the spinning wheel. "Spin, spin, spin," sang the wheel. Round, round, round flew the straw. By the time the sun came up, the yellow straw was spun into shining threads of gold. The next morning, when the king opened the door, he could scarcely believe his eyes. But the very sight of all that gold made him greedy for more. So he sent for twice as much straw as before and locked the miller's daughter in the dungeon room. Then he told her to spin again. When the poor girl looked at the heaps of straw, she began to weep and wail. Before long, the same little gnome appeared at the window. "What will you give me if I spin for you this time?" he asked. "I'll give you the ring on my finger," said the miller's daughter. "I'll take it," said the gnome. The little gnome sat right down at the spinning wheel. "Spin, spin, spin," sang the wheel, and round, round, round flew the straw. And by the time the sun came up, the yellow straw was spun into shining threads of gold. The king was overjoyed at the sight of all that gold before breakfast. "I will take you to the biggest room in the castle," he told the miller's daughter. "If by morning you can fill it full of gold, I'll marry you, and you'll be queen and never have to spin again. But if you can't do it, you will lose your head." And he meant it. The king sent for all the straw in his kingdom, and as he watched it piling up, he began to feel very sorry for the girl. "She may only be a poor miller's daughter," thought the king, "but if she can spin all this straw into gold, I really will marry her, for I could not ask for a prettier bride." This time the miller's daughter was locked in an enormous room, and once again she began to weep and wail. When the strange little gnome appeared and asked what she would give him to do the spinning, the poor girl wept even louder. "I have nothing left to give," she wailed. "Then promise to give me your firstborn child after you become the queen," said the gnome. "How do I know what the future holds?" thought the girl, and she promised to give him her first baby. Once again, the little gnome sat down at the spinning wheel. The next morning, when the king saw the gold, he called for the wedding at once. The miller's daughter became queen and danced on a carpet of gold. Of all the wedding gifts for the new queen received, her favorite was a talking bird from the king. But she opened his cage and set the bird free, for she knew all too well how it felt to be locked up. The talking bird was grateful and became her best friend. In a year's time, a baby girl was born to the happy queen, who had quite forgotten her promise to the strange little gnome. But he did not forget. He came to her window soon after the child was born. "A promise is a promise," he said. "You must give me the baby." The poor queen wept and wailed and begged and pleaded. She promised him all the riches in the kingdom if only she could keep her child. At last, the gnome took pity on her. "I'll give you 3 days to guess my name," he said. "But if you can't guess it, the baby is mine." On the first night, the queen guessed all the names she could think of. The little gnome laughed at all of them. "You'll have to do better than that," he said. "Eddie, Niles, Lamont, Leopold, Marvin, Wendell, Phil, Rudolph, Salvatore, Rollo, Clark, Osgood, Farley, Lou, Elmer." "Try again." "Wrong." No. On the second night, the queen repeated all the names she had been able to find anywhere, but each time she called out a name, the little gnome laughed louder. "That is not my name." "Gunther, Hartley, Maurice, Jasper, Desmond, Bruno, Al, Lester, Neville, Anwar." "No, not even close." By the morning of the last day, the queen was at her wit's end. She sent a messenger far and wide to find out all the unusual names in the kingdom. Her talking bird went too. Before nightfall, the bird came to a cottage hidden in the woods. In front of the cottage danced the strange little gnome, and as he danced, he sang, "Today I dance, tomorrow the same. Tonight the queen's first child I'll claim. She will never win this game, for Rumpelstiltskin is my name." On the third night, when the little gnome appeared, the messenger still had not arrived at the castle. The queen did not know what to do, so she began calling out names she had made up in her head. Everett, Huey, Wolfgang Amadeus, Jesse, Max, Humphrey, Sheldon, Dwight, Benny, Mo, Jack, Randolph, Manfred, Howard. Nope, certainly not. Give up? Sorry, no." Just as the gnome was about to seize her child, the talking bird flew in the window and whispered something in her ear. "Is your name Rumpelstiltskin?" Rumpelstiltskin turned every color in the rainbow. He huffed and he puffed and he screamed and he snorted and he kicked and he shivered and shook himself into a million pieces that blew away in the wind. From that day forward, he was never seen or heard from again. As for the miller's daughter, she and the king and their baby and the talking bird lived happily ever after. Love you.